Hello, I'm Nick Leeming. This is the fourth in a series of Fettling videos for the Northumbrian Smallpipes. I'm going to show you how to deal with a set that has been put together using glue. The Northumbrian pipes should, in theory, be held together by a series of push-fit joints, and they shouldn't need glue at any time. However, in some cases, certain pipe maker used glue extensively to stop the pipes being pulled apart by inquisitive users. I'm going to show you how to deal with glue. If we consider the drones, if we take the sliding part from the drone cap should be a push fit on. If you want to do any maintenance on the plunger or clean the bore of the drone itself, you need to be able to remove the cap, and it should come apart with a gentle twist and come off. The cotton binding should be sufficiently tight and waxed such that the plunger and the head of the drone push on like that. Don't come off on normal use, but don't need gluing. However, these have been glued and they won't come off. Don't ever waggle them to try and get them off. They won't come off. If you look very carefully, you will see a tiny bit of residue around the edge between the plastic and the brass. It is useful when you're dealing with pipes to have some form of magnifier like this so you can get a very good look at something, but not essential in this case. So, to free glue, move the pipes to safety. You want to try and dissolve the glue using acetone. Acetone is available from most chemists. It's very volatile. Don't use it anywhere near a naked flame. If you're a smoker, don't. What I tend to do is I have a separate little bottle which has a dropper on it, and I keep it like this to keep the dropper safe, and I quite simply, using the ever-present bit of tissue, I open my acetone, I suck a few drops of acetone up, and then I simply allow it to drip around the sides of the drone cap, and rotate it. The acetone will evaporate, and if you're lucky, that will be enough to dissolve the glue. Keep turning it. Underneath, I don't know if you can see, but there is a drip of acetone at the bottom, and as I turn it, then it's continually soaking into the join. And as you do that, you can leave it to settle, put the lid cap back on the acetone bottle, because otherwise A, you'll spill it, B, it'll evaporate. So we've got, now the next thing to do is to grab the cap of the drone between your thumb and first finger and hold firmly the drone at the point of the ferrule and twist. Now, this doesn't often work. If you use too much force, you will break the top off. It is turning. I can feel it turning. It's coming. If it gets too sticky, simply put a little bit more acetone on. You only need tiny amounts. And again, twist it gently, and it's off now. It's pulled all the cotton binding away, but that's not a problem. I will show you in another video how to replace cotton binding. There you are, that has freed that joint. There's another way of doing it if they won't come at all, and for that you need hot water. I will assume that I've tried acetone on this one and it hasn't worked. I will now go and boil a kettle and fill a mug with very, very hot water. Here is my mug of boiling water. Be careful, obviously, you're dealing with red hot water. You will need probably a cloth and probably more tissue paper. The idea is, Colin Ross showed me this one, it's a great trick. You simply immerse I don't know if you can see this on the camera, you just immerse the very end of the drone in the boiling water for a couple of minutes. I mean, you could just let the thing drop and go away and leave it. And I don't know whether the glue dissolves, whether the differential expansion between the wood of the tenon and the plastic of the drone end, whether it just breaks the seal of the glue. I'm not sure of the physics of it. All I know is it works, and it seemed barbaric at the time, but Colin showed me how to do it and it's a brilliant trick. So that's been there for now let's try it. Shake the drips off and get it in the right hand. Cloth, because it's hot, and to give yourself some grip, and then there we are, look at that. Easy peasy, came away really nicely. That's it, it's dead easy, absolutely easy. That is the drone end separated and the glue removed. So easy. I might do another one. See, it's stiff, it won't come off. Patience is a great virtue when you're fettling pipes. You should never ever get cross, never ever get stroppy. You've just got to be logical and gentle. They're very, very delicate little pieces of kit. If you think about the wood on the piece I'm holding at the moment, it's got a hole running the length of it. It's a little hollow tube and it's very delicate. So you manhandle them, you break them. Now let's see if that works. Again, grip it with the cloth, firmly with this hand. Twist, do not jiggle, just a gentle twist that way. I'm not actually holding it, but just a gentle twist that way. Don't try and do it side to side, for heaven's sake. There, it's coming. I know I'll make it look easy, but it's not that difficult. If you see there, you can actually see the glue sitting over the cotton thread. And again, you'll need to replace this cotton thread. I'll show you how to do that in another video. Now, there's another good thing. Whenever you're making a mess like this, clear up after yourself. Have a waste bin. Don't put it on the floor and don't let it clutter your waste. Don't be a bench. So, next thing I want to show you is how to deal with drones that have been glued in. I'm very carefully putting these back together and moving them off and putting them on my cushion. Now, the other thing, actually, while I mention it, it's important. If you're taking the cap off, it means you can get the tuning bead off, which allows you to see what's going on with the cork. If you can't take your cap off, you can't do anything to do with the plunger. You can't take your tuning bead off either. So it's an important thing to be able to do, but they should never be so loose that they come off when you're using them. Now, to do the drones, these haven't been glued in place. I'm just going to pretend they have, and it's a very simple procedure, same as Same as before, your acetone, tiny bit of acetone in the dropper, and then just apply it here. I'm not going to actually do it because these are free, but you just apply it around there like that, around all of them if you want them all out. Just drip the acetone against the joint of where the drone standing part hits, or the edge of where it is on against the stock, and you just keep dripping acetone into that, and eventually it will come. You just pull and twist, as I showed you in a previous video. Don't ever stick this entire assembly in a mug or bucket of hot water, because it will ruin everything. Just don't ever do that. But you should be able to get the drones out with a bit of solvent. If you can't, don't use excessive force. If you cannot shift them, take them to a professional pipe maker. Be especially careful if you're dealing with very old pipes, particularly those made of woods like laburnum or lignum vitae, because they can fracture. So take care. If you can't shift it with a certain amount of force, take it to an expert. Same applies to the blowpipe. If that's being glued in, again, glue solvent around this part, this joint of the joint, and then you should be able to pull it out. The next thing, and one of the most difficult, is the chanter. Sometimes the pipe maker has glued the chanter tenon into the stock and secured it with a pin. When everything was set up and working, he has, with great skill, drilled so that the drill went in at this angle and just kissed the binding. So the drill went like that and just touched the edge of the binding and out the other side, and then he's inserted a pin, a brass pin, like this one, in through the hole, and this stops the chanter rotating. It stops the chanter coming out, which is very useful if it saves the reed ever coming out, the chanter ever coming out and going on the floor. But it's the very devil if you want to do any maintenance. This still photograph shows you a close-up of a chanter stock with a hole for a pin to hold the chanter in place. In the video, I'm actually pointing to the wrong place. I'm pointing to the chanter stock. I should be pointing to the ferrule, as you can see in this photograph. This photo is the same thing end on, with the pin in place. Imagine the pin running through the tenon of the chanter. It'll stop it from falling out and will prevent anyone from removing the chanter from the stock to adjust or replace the reed. The way to do it is, as previously, you apply acetone both to the hole, either end of the hole where the pin is, and around here. And you have to put quite a lot on because it takes a while. And then I use this very primitive but a straightened out paper clip. You can, if you've got a piece of good steel, you can use it, but thin steel. Straightened out paper clip, and I hold the paper clip like this. I'll illustrate it on one of the chanter keys. If you can see the key, it's got a pivot there, and this comes out on the other side. It's pretty much the same sort of system as was used in the stock, and you simply use your piece of steel to push, and you push and push and push gently but firmly, and you can see the pin will eventually come out the other side. And you keep doing that, and then you pull your pin out and you can remove the chanter. I'm not going to do that with this because I don't want this pin to come out. There, that's fine. So, I'm sorry I haven't got an example to show you, but basically that is an important thing. You use the solvent, you remove that pin using pliers and wire, and then you twist the chanter until it comes away. You will then have to replace all the bindings because the cotton will come away. You won't need to put the pin back. I will show you in another video how to replace the bindings, but it's got to be nice and firm, and then you can maintain your reed. But just be careful pulling it apart for the first time because you do need to use more force than normal. And that is how to remove glue on the main set of the bagpipes. If your clack valve has been glued in, again, just apply solvent around the edge of the clack valve housing until such time as the glue comes loose, and then just take it out, as I showed you in video number 3. Don't ever use glue when you're putting things back together again. Make your bindings good and you won't need glue. Thank you.